This is Richard back at you guys. We got Annie in the house. We got Teresa in the house. We got a lot of work going on, definitely. We got Brant's 2006 Chevrolet in the house. 1500 HD. 1500 HD. That's odd. 6.0 4080E 4-wheel drive. Didn't move at all. We had to pull it in with a four-wheeler, so you could imagine it was pretty bad. Now we did another video on it too. Where underneath the vehicle and stuff like that. We're not going to go through the transfer case. I just think we're going to be replacing some seals, but we're definitely going to go through the tranny because it don't move no more. So let's get this thing apart real quick, see what we got going on. Now it is still been late model style, rear cooler line style. I'll show you that. Oh, we don't want to look at that. But factory converter. Got the big lugs on it right here. I mean, this converter weighs a ton. I mean, it's real heavy. But you can look at the fluid, what type of fluid we're going to be working with.
And it stinks.
And this thing has a smell. Now we have our lockup O-ring right here. You can see here where it's flat on one side. I mean, it's already shrunk down the groove. Now this did have a lot of wiring issues and stuff like that too on it, to where it might not have lockup or something like that, but it didn't have any codes for it. All it had codes was for O2 sensors, stuff like that. Nothing for the transmission or anything for the physical motor running except the exhaust stuff. So what we do, since it's a four-wheel drive, we're only going to have one speed sensor. It's going to be an input speed sensor. We're going to have a dummy here on the output speed sensor because the output speed sensor is going to be on the transfer case. Now, if it's a two-wheel drive, we'd have a sensor here, and then we would have a reluctor wheel down inside. Now you can see there's just a flat spot right there. If you look at this one, you can see the notches in the ring right there. So this one here, if you can put a sensor in here, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't read nothing. There's not a ring on the planet for it to even read. So pretty simple. Of course, we have a rear cooler line style. You can see the difference. If you put this one there, you're going to burn up all your gear train because it has to have that tube on the end of it to reach the lube circuit on your center support. So now there's an O-ring in here and a clip for quick disconnect style lines there. We have a boot style dipstick tube boot. These all pretty much come with boots all their life. There was never an O-ring. Got your vent here. Now all these we get in here, 90% of them all have fluid in the connector. That's why we have a brand new wiring harness here for it to put back in there. You just can't take no chances because these trannies here, they will physically burn up if you get fluid in here. I mean, they do all kinds of crazy stuff, high pressure problems, erratic shifting, all that type of stuff. So it's definitely full of fluid. Look at all the dirt around that pump and seal there. Now this did have a dust cover on the front of it, if I'm not mistaken. Now, our earlier video that Trent's going to post before this one, you'll see the undercarriage of the vehicle and stuff like that we've got to straighten up. So.
Actually, he just, oh my goodness.
If it didn't smell now, guys, a minute ago, it smells now.
Holy moly.
Because I opened up a can of worms right there. Look at that, guys. That thing is smoked.
I'm going to need nose plugs for this one.
All I got's earplugs, Teresa. Will they work?
Oh, goodness.
I mean, they were. It was bad. And I'm going to show you the difference on these filters here. Now, this is a late model filter, deep style pan. Now, if you have a shallow pan, a shallow filter, you don't have no legs on the filter. See, they're missing. We had a gentleman bolt a shallow pan on this deep filter, smashed it completely down, plugged the suction off right here, and melted parts in the transmission on a brand new tranny. So the pan depth depends on what filter. I can take this filter off, throw it away, put this one on there, and put a shallow pan on there and work fine. I can't leave the deep pan on there and put the shallow filter because the filter could fall off. So I have to go either direction. But if I have an early model tranny, this filter, I can take it off, put this one there, put a deep pan. Now I upgraded my early tranny. So pretty easy to do if you have the pan laying around. But you got to be careful when you buy them off the internet to make sure you're buying the right style pan for your filter. Now, his pan did come with a filter though, but he didn't change it. He left our brand new one on there instead, which was a deep style. So kind of caused an issue. Now we have our pressure control solenoid here. This thing's been hot. You see how that just broke?
Broke off.
Yeah, I see that. Look at that. Look how easy this breaks. Whoop, this breaks. So, new wiring harness, definitely. And we have our pillow switch here. This switch here tells you what the computer, when the tranny makes it shift, when you move your selector. Oop. Yeah, it says it's cooked.
Yeah, he brought his dust cover in a couple of days ago that actually covers this part of.
Yeah. Now we have our lube tube here. This lube's the rear case bushing. And if it was a two-wheel drive, it would lubricate the rear tail housing bushing too. Get that bracket out of there. Now the early designs, they come with a bigger tube, and the tube went from here all the way up to here. There's a hole right here, and the tube's about the size of a pencil. Goes all the way from here to here. But on the late versions, they shortened it up. But that's all that does is two things. So. Teresa, how you doing? Dizzy?
Dizzy.
I'm down this one here to get you going. I'd crack that door, but the light will get in and probably be so bright we won't be able to see anything.
This is one of them ones you need to tear down as fast as you can.
Yes. Now we'll be putting a Transgo kit in this, bumping the shifts up a little bit on it and the lockup pressure and stuff. We're also going to be putting a Sonex TCC valve in here that's got the Teflon ring on it. If you have any wear or anything like that in the bore, that ring will help seal the valve and keep the valve working. Well, Teresa told me, guys, after the video that's posts here pretty quick, if y'all haven't seen it yet, Teresa said there's no more air blowers allowed in the building room while she's in here, or the teardown room, however you look at it. She says they are restricted. So I'm going to honor that. That way she'll keep recording. Don't you think, guys? I think that's a good idea. We will honor that.
Yeah, because if you get this on me, I'm locking you out of the house.
And we have our pressure control solenoid here, our PW solenoid here, and we have our two shift solenoids here. I mean, these are my kind of trannies right here, the ones I love to do. I'm going to show y'all a seal that you probably never knew it existed. that we change on every one of our rebuilds on this unit right here. Now we put the shift kit in here. We do a lot of modifications to it, but there's one seal that I guarantee you don't even know that exists that we replace. Now this is our accumulator springs here, and we have our valve body plate here. Now there is some holes here that we modified beyond the Transgo kit a little bit, because we want a little bit firmer shifts than what that even is. I'm gonna pour this out, guys, for just a minute, and I'm gonna squeegee, make Miss Teresa happy that we don't get her all gooped up.
Yesterday was good though. This is not red.
Okay, guys, there's a valve right in here. Hopefully I can get it out real easy to show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna put my glasses on too. That way I can get it out and show you this seal. This is a real critical seal to replace on every overhaul that you do. It's right here beside your shift solenoid. It's on the right. There's a pin right here. You can usually grab the pair of pliers and you can just slide it up and get it out of the bore. If I can get it up out of the bore. Come on, there it goes. Okay. We'll pull that roll pin out of there. Now we have an aluminum plug right in here. But this is pretty dirty, so I'm going to have to be really careful getting this out of here without doing any damage. Okay. But right down in here, there's physically a rubber seal that we change in every overhaul that most people don't even know that's there. Now you got to be careful getting this plug out because it tries to cock one way or another. Once you get it out, there's going to be a big check ball. So you got to be really careful. There it comes. Just take your time. You're going to roll it. There's a big check ball right there. Okay? No seal. You're going to set that to the side. And now you're going to come in here and you're going to keep moving. There's another aluminum sleeve in here. And you're going to keep pulling this out right here. This sleeve right here walks around a lot in this body. And this little rubber seal right here gets hard and it shrinks just like this seal on your input shaft does, and you start losing lockup. Well, this seal right here does the exact same thing. It shrinks. The seal is in your TranStar overhaul kit though. Squared up as ever. Hard as a rock. So you definitely want to replace that. So now you know it's there. I told you so. So now there is another valve and spring down in here too that will come out when you go to clean it and stuff like that. Come on. Like I said, it's just really dirty. There it goes. There's the spring. So it sits like that. You have your O-ring against your valve. Your ball sets in here like this, up against this seat here, and then your valve and spring goes in, and then your pin slides in the end of it like that. So there's your O-ring right there. Now there's O-rings on your solenoids, but that's the only hidden O-ring that you're going to find. Everything else is pretty much on your solenoids and stuff like that, and then your Transgo kit. Now, let me turn this right. It's kind of hard to see. You can see this hole right here in this plate. There's one here, there's one here, and there's one here. These are, and there's check balls underneath all these, there's balls that go on top of these. These are the shift feel holes for third, second, and fourth. So you want to enlarge them 3 holes right there. Fluid covered it up, couldn't see it no more. But there's a, you can get on Sonex's webpage, plate drilling instructions, and they give you some pretty cool tips on which holes to drill. They don't really tell you what the size is unless you can read their chart. And I wasn't good at reading it, so I've just kind of played around with everything. We have our engine brake band servo here. I always want to check this, change this seal here. It's a Teflon seal. And then we have all of our check balls. Now you're going to have a check ball in every pocket except one, except this pocket right there. And you can put a check ball there really easy. It fits. Look how pretty that is. Looks really nice sitting there. And if you look at the valve body plate even looks like it takes one because there's an orifice hole right beside it. If you set it on here, and you set it down on here, it looks like an orifice hole. See that little hole right there?
Mm-hmm.
See right there? See how these check balls have orifice holes beside them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that has an orifice hole, and you would think a check ball goes there, but if you look in your TransStar overhaul kits give you paperwork inside that gives you the check ball locations and stuff like that. So that's one good thing about them too. We have our reverse servo here, piezo reverse band. We have our third accumulator. Got O-rings here. Early models that have Teflon. These have rubber seals here. Whew, thing's getting pretty strong, huh, Teresa?
Need a 10-foot boom. Boom arm.
Boom arm.
Boom arm.
And we have our 4th gear ply bolt here to the case. It's a hollow bolt. Your shift kit will come with a hardened steel bolt and a washer. And then your center support bolt here for third reverse. And your intermediate. A lot longer bolt than your 400. Your 400 bolt's only about half the length of that. Your 400 bolt, if you try to stick one of these in there, you look down in there, you'll see it'll bottom out before it gets tight. So you gotta be really careful. And we have our parking linkage here. You put in park. Locks in, doesn't turn anymore. You don't have to take any of that stuff apart. You need to change your seal here for your filter. I think that's been through some dirt roads, huh? Definitely. Now I'm not even sure if this is the original tranny. Did he say he got this from Wrecking Yard? I heard Wrecking Yard something in a conversation, and so I'm not really for sure.
I don't know if I ever talked to him.
Yeah. So far, it doesn't look like it's ever been touched. The tranny looks original. So. And we have our selective stator washer here. If you get a washer kit, it'll come with different thicknesses to set your clearance here. Now these trannies set clearances in 2 different spots, below your support and in front of your support. So then your overhaul kit will come with a hardened ring, but it's like a scarf cut. But then we have some that you put on here and you have to size with the sizer. We'll look at the pump, see if it's any good. Mainly look and see if you have a late model style pump, since you have a rear style cooler line. Stator looks pretty good. Don't see any rutting or anything like that. See, I did it 70 miles on this. 176,000 on the truck, but we don't know if that's original on the tranny, so. Look at our pump gears. And the pump gears, they're definitely wore out. You can see all the coatings out going on the inside. You can see here where it started wearing crooked even, right through here. Same way there. See the bluing's even gone on the teeth on the gears here. This side's perfect because that's not the load side. See that? Still looks brand new. You get over on that side, it's wore off. It'll look that way on this gear here too. See that side looks brand new? Turn it over, look at this side. See how it's shiny? The bluing's gone.
Yeah.
So the pump gears are wore plumb out on this thing. Main thing, look at the body. Look across here where your filter is and your pressure side. Have to clean it up and look at it a lot better since it's so dirty. I'll get this out of here, Teresa. I don't think it'll help the smell of this one any. Now we have our Overdrive Planetary and our engine brake clutch, our Overdrive Sprag Assembly. These are forward sealing rings here. Your oil goes down to these holes here and apply your forward clutch down inside. It goes to this hole here, comes out here. Then you lock up through here, your lock up O-ring. 2 sets of rings here you have to put on and resize here and here. Scotch Brite your shaft up really good here where your bushings run. Shaft looks really good though. So, really nice. I like to talk good about them sometimes.
Yeah.
You know. You want to look at your splines here, definitely. This is a 4-wheel drive. Pulls weight and stuff like that. Look at your Overdrive Planet. Check for wobbling, anything like that. Now they make 2 different sizes of races here, depending on what type of Sprag here. So if you had an early model, it'll have a bigger Sprag. Later model has a smaller Sprag. You pull this little fragile thing off here. Let me get the clutch out of here first.
Really, be careful flicking that stuff.
I know, I'm sorry. We've got a 3 clutch system. And then we have our, get that off there. Come on. You can see how this roller slides though when I move it. See how that slides spring loaded? You notice the spring's pushing the roller uphill too. I can just turn that a little bit. There it goes. And pull that off there. So. Pretty neat how they make all this stuff. I mean, fragile, if I dropped it on the floor, it'd explode in a million pieces. Now, on your Overdrive Sun Gear here, that we always have wear on this side here. I mean, I got new drums over there. We'll be replacing this one here if I didn't lay it out already. But we always see wear on this little small gear here. Don't see it on the Planetary itself. No, but they did change this right here too, depending on what year. On the bigger Sprag assembly, they changed this right here too. So you definitely want to know the exact year, what you're messing with here when you order your parts. You know, so we get a lot of them in here. They've been swapped out multiple times and stuff, so that we have to figure that out. So very seldom do we get something that hadn't been already changed, huh, Teresa? Then we have our Overdrive clutch here. See here, starting to get some wear on it. And they added this little lock here to this pin to help support this drum to keep it from spinning, because all you got's that one little bolt right there. Other than that, it's just sitting in there floating down the road. So, pretty simple. Now on this Overdrive assembly here, this is another one a lot of people, this right here is one rough, it's not hard to get it apart, it's not hard to get this spring back on, but it's hard to get these 2 pieces back together. Now these 2 pistons, one has a seal here and one has a seal here. When you put the new ones in there, they will not go together. I mean, you have to fight. I got to do a video on it, show you how to do it, make it simple. I show Trent every time. He just walks away going, dang it, Dad. kind of crazy, but it is pretty tough to get that back together. And we have our forward clutch here. Like I said, this thing did not move. The filter was totally stopped up. Of course, we're going to see some carnage in the old clutch area here.
And you won't be able to get that apart.
No, well, that's a sharp knife. There ain't no material on that at all. Look at that.
No.
We have our forward clutch here, our forward hub, and it locks into our third gear clutch down in here. Now, even the splines are gone on the teeth here. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, they're solid. You can't even, you ain't gonna break them together. That's heavy. That feels like 20 pounds. That is tough. Actually, guys, I've never seen one this bad, to tell you the truth. Unbelievable. So, I say sometimes when you get into a predicament, you're out in the middle of nowhere, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and something happens, you know, nowadays you want to try to get home, no doubt in my mind. Now, on the forward drum here, I talk about this all the time when I tear these units down, about the input shaft rubbing right here where these 2 seals go. One here and one down in there. This drum is totally wiped out, and that's probably why we have a burn-up forward clutch here. Once these sealing rings wear out through here, when you blow air through here, it applies as a clutch. Once that wears and this starts rubbing through here, it just doesn't seal no more and it takes out the forward clutch. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Of course, we have bonded pistons down in here we have to replace. Replace the whole drum on this one.
Maybe you get it apart.
Yeah, we won't want nothing out of there. The only thing we want out of there is the spring retain, this here and this snap ring. Other than that, this whole drum is trash. And we're going to get our third gear, what I call a high reverse clutch out. Now this clutch here is activated in reverse and third gear. Now we're going to go back with brass, really nice brass washers. I'll try to hook one up real quick so you can kind of see it. Get rid of all this plastic and get put new thrush washers all the way through it. Makes it a really nice unit.
That looks pretty snuck in there too.
Now, the problem you got with this tranny, it's not a problem. Anytime I build high horsepower units, and that's 90% of the stuff we do here, we always leave the wave out of the third gear because we usually got a 3,000, 4,000 stall converter in it, and we don't care how hard it's going to shift into reverse because the converter is going to soak up all the cushion, you know, the shock of the engagement. So what we do is on these here, we have to leave the wave in third gear to soften the third gear engagement. That's the only reason why we're leaving it in there. And then we're going to modify our third gear circuit for the apply circuit on third gear, and we're going to pop it in there a little bit firmer that way and try to make it think that it don't have that wave in third gear no more once we do that. But we have to leave the wave in there for the reverse engagement, or this guy's going to go boom. He's going to come back and it won't be worth it. So, but if you're doing a race car, leave it out. You don't care how hard it goes in reverse. You're good to go. Now on this drum here, it's probably going to have a 34 element Sprag in it, but we want to look at the races and see what they look like. I have a brand new drum sitting over there. We need one. You always want to look at these little tabs here too. They'll start wearing and standing up, and this thing starts moving around a bunch like that. So you need to replace that. And your Sprag assembly in your intermediate spins to the right, locks to the left. Spins to the right, locks to the left. Because you can put this Sprag in backwards. I'll do it real quick. Watch this. It's going to take 5 seconds. Now it's going to spin to the left. And it's going to lock to the right. Spin to the left, lock to the right. So real easy to put them in backwards. It's not something you want to do though. You want to look at your outer race really good. Scotch-Brite it up. Make sure there's no chatter marks or anything like that. Same way here on your inner race. You can get that off there. Come on. It's really slippery. But it doesn't matter if I get it off anyway. This drum's toast. But you come in here and look here. You can see how the center support just chewed itself right into this drum right here. And why it does that is because the bushing's down in the bottom of the case right down, or in this shaft here, and the intermediate shaft wears out and lets the drum fall down, and it lays on top of this center support here, and that's why you see it looking like this. Now you can see here where the sealing rings physically run on the high spot, but this is where the drum is touching the support all the way around. Well, it's terrible that now this drum's no good because it was a 34 element drum. But if your race right here isn't any good, your drum's no good anyway. If we can save our spring and snap ring off here, that's probably about the only thing we're going to be saving off this drum too. So we're starting to build a trash pile over here. There we go. So, and let me tell you guys, 480E transmissions, they're not cheap to build. We have our wide band here. The earlier designs had a 400 band in them and about a 1/4 of an inch narrower. This here has the wide band. We'll go down here and look at our intermediate clutch. They put the snap ring in right anyway. The manufacturer did if this has never been apart. Of course, we have our second gear clutches here.
Are you sure those are clutches?
Nah, they make clutches.
Not anymore.
Not no more. But let's see how many we got in there. We've got one, we've got two, we've got three, we've got four. So we got the right amount of clutches in this unit to hold up to a lot of power if we want to make this a race car tranny. So we do have a wave. Now you want to put this back in here because once we modify our plate, then we can firm up a second gear really nice, even leaving that wave in there. You don't want to stick your head too deep down in there. You might not bring it back out without hyperventilating. It's strong. We have a flat side on this snap ring, a bevel on this side. Just stick your openings here underneath ledges instead of out in the opening here. Both of them the same way.
Well, believe me, I'm trying to stand as far away.
I'm telling you, it's a good one, guys. Like we had a guy comment the other day, he wished they'd make videos with smell. I tell you, this one here you wouldn't want to smell. And we have a thrust washer style in the back, 3-tab stainless washer that sets down the back of the case. Put your new bushing down in there. And we do have a snap ring that sets down in the case for the support to set on, just like that. And then we have our reverse band. And of course it's smoke too. So you want to look down in here for any type of wear where your support sets in your lugs there. Make sure all of them's all connected. None of them are broken off here on the sides. Anything like that. If all looks good there, clean it up. Inspect it for any type of cracks or anything like that. We have our rear planetary, our intermediate planet, where our reverse band goes around. You can see how our Sprag has legs. Now, if some of the Sprags don't have legs, they have a little piece of strapping or metal ring sets down in here that the Sprag sets on. Or the drum is machined to have a ledge that the Sprag sets on. This one here has just been machined this way. The Sprag has legs. You cannot put the early design in there because it'll fall way down in here and be a 1/4 of an inch setting down in here. You cannot do that. This will not go the other way either. Getting my bearings out of here and stuff, so I have everything. You want to check your races on both sides here where this bearing runs for any pitting or anything like that. This here just looks stained. There's no groove or anything. We Scotch-Brite this up, or not Scotch-Brite it, but 80 grit it. We come in here and clean this up. Now we always come in here and weld our pins to our rollers because they are bad about walking outwards towards this washer right here, and it starts cutting on this washer right here. So they'll start shaving it because it comes out. Next thing you know, half this washer is totally gone. Now we will put a brass washer here because this style washer will fit in here and run better, and it's wider. Same thickness, sets right in the same tabs. There you go. Put a new bushing in there. Now check your gears though for any type of wobbling or pin discoloration or anything like that, because I got one over here I'll show you too. I wanted to show you something real quick. I hate to get going too fast on something else, but I want to show you really quick if I don't forget, hopefully. Same way the Sun Gear. You can see here how purple it's gotten on this end here. This side's normal color. Lack of lubrication is what that's from. Filter getting stopped up, cooler line flow coming to a halt, stuff like that. Now our bushings in this center support right here and in this right here, on this direct drum right here, this sets in this drum like this, okay? This bushing and this bushing together keeps this drum from touching right here as it sets on there. Okay, just like that. So when we get wear in those bushings, that's what lets that drum come down and touch on the support right there, and that's where you get this from. Pretty simple. Now I did want to show y'all the difference in some Sprags really quick, because we tore down a customer's Transbrake 400, and this is what it had in it. Give you an idea what they do have. Now, this here's I lost my brain here for a second. A 41 element Sprag, and then we have your standard early style Sprag here, and then we have the roller clutch style Sprag here. You can see the difference. Now this will go on here, this will go on here, but this will not go on here. It takes a totally different drum that looks like this. So the Sprag sets on notches like that, but it's on this drum. So I just kind of wanted to throw that in there. So this drum here, I don't remember if it's any good or not, but we'll have to look at that. But this one here is definitely destroyed. And then of course we get in here to our rear Planetary. Now you can see here there's no counter on this here. Normally there'd be a band on here that has teeth on it like this, or lugs on it, and then that sensor comes in this way and counts it. Now if you had a two-wheel drive, it would be on there. Being it's a four-wheel drive, it's not there. Now, being that this is a rear lube to front lube style, you definitely want to make sure you have the right bearings in here, because your lube oil comes through these ports here and through the bearing here and here instead of through the center of the shaft. Same way here, it comes through these 4 grooves. If you put this piece on there, it comes through these 4 grooves in the bushing. So no oil goes down through the center of the shafts. It all travels through your bushings forward to lubricate the whole transmission forward. Everything's going through bushings. Now you want to look here at this Planetary here, because your Sun Gear right here, you've seen heat. So we want to come in here and look at this Planetary here and look at the gears. You see this one here looks pretty dark. So does this one here. You want to clean this up good, roll it, see if your gears wobble or anything like that or noisy. Put your new Sun Gear. Has to have the 4 notches, because they do make a 2-notch style that you do not want to put in there, and it'll go right on there. And look what you did. You just cut all the lube circuit off. If you put this 4 on there, see how they peek out? See how they peek out? The lube circuit peeks out there. If you put this one on there, you can see the hole, plugs it.
No more peeking.
No more peeking, so no more lubrication going forward. And next thing you know, you wonder why your tranny's totally melted. It's the little stuff that gets you guys when you start swapping these parts out and stuff like that. That's why it really takes somebody to know what they're doing when they look at this stuff. And if not, you can make a big mistake and cost you a lot of money. Teresa, thank you again for recording. Guys, we got a ton more coming. Don't forget to subscribe. Annie, she's crashed. Y'all have a great day.